I have been a Sonic fan for practically my entire life. Growing up, I noticed there's been a particular division surrounding the character of Amy Rose. Things are a little more tame than they used to be, but in the earlier days of the online Sonic fandom, Amy was one of the most hated characters, mainly because people found her annoying or useless. Now, there have been a lot of video essays on Amy, but oftentimes some of them will mention things like, if Amy behaves this way, young girls will see this behavior as okay. Or, if little girls see Amy Rose, they'll think,
insert opinion here.
So I decided I would share my perspective as a Sonic fan, who was once a young girl growing up with Amy as the main female character. Amy Rose has been a staple in the Sonic series ever since her debut in the early 90s. She's appeared in games, TV shows, comics, and even as the occasional pop culture reference. Over the years, this pink hedgehog has had her share of criticisms.
She really isn't an interesting character.
Wow, one of the
She's
most annoying characters.
Great
in a row,
personalities, an annoying, whiny, annoying brat like in Sonic Adventure.
Total bitch.
It's not uncommon to hear that until recently, chasing Sonic was her only personality trait. But is there more to Amy than pining for Sonic, or is she a poor representation of women and a bad role model for young girls? For this analysis, I'll mostly be sticking to the main series version of Amy, with supplemental information from the Boom, Sonic X, and IDW versions of her. Speaking of Sonic X and IDW, I'm going to put it out there that even though the events in these stories aren't canon to the mainline games, both of them were directly overseen by Sonic Team and feature characterizations as they see fit. Analyzing these versions of her give insight into how Sonic Team intends Amy to be and how they may be planning to use her for the future. Amy was conceptualized by Naoto Oshima, Kazuyuki Hoshino, and other members of Sonic Team. They wanted to create a character to be Sonic's Minnie Mouse, but instead with a dynamic of Amy pursuing Sonic, since they felt that would be more interesting. While Amy's first game appearance was in 1993's Sonic CD, she actually debuted as a character in the 1992 Sonic manga series. She was the girlfriend of Nicky, a small and nerdy hedgehog who is often the victim of bullying. But when Amy is in trouble, Nicky's desire to become strong and capable transforms him into Sonic the Hedgehog. In this series, Amy often encourages Nicky to face his fears and become braver. She doesn't have her hammer or any special physical abilities, she's just a normal hedgehog girl trying to support her boyfriend. Classic Amy as we know her debuted in Sonic CD. She sets out to meet Sonic after her tarot cards inform her that she's to have a destined encounter, and is subsequently kidnapped by Metal Sonic. Sonic Channel describes Amy as falling in love at first sight with Sonic. While Amy doesn't do much in the scope of this game, tiny aspects of her personality still peek through. She already knows of Sonic, dabbles in fortune-telling, and seems pretty determined and resourceful given that she got to Little Planet on her own without any help. The storytelling was a little more limited at this time, so all of her character traits remain fairly similar throughout the classic era, while adding in her Pico Pico hammer and Sonic the Fighters. Getting into the modern era, Amy gets more screen time and we see even more of her personality than before. Some of the more common criticisms for Amy's personality are that she's a Sonic fangirl, a damsel in distress, a female stereotype, or that she basically has no personality at all. There's been a lot of praise for more recent iterations of the character, such as in Sonic Boom and IDW, for making her more independent and mature. But while these are not necessarily bad versions of her, I think it's extremely short-sighted to act as though the older versions of Amy were in dire need of being fixed. What is it that makes a strong female character? Some would say it's a woman who has her own identity and trajectory, someone who has emotions and is fleshed out, but also has flaws, who isn't dependent on male characters, a character who has opinions and empathy, or maybe it's just a character with a lot of physical strength. These are all different opinions of what it means to be a good female character, but there is no objective way to determine it. Everyone has a different idea of what it means to be strong. A character could have a laundry list of traits that audiences could love, but it won't matter unless the writers make use of them. Amy has a lot of positive qualities, and whether or not she checks off certain boxes, I find her to be a character with more potential than she's utilized for. Amy is a compassionate, friendly, adventure-loving girl who can also be reckless and hot-headed. She's into traditionally girly things like shopping and cooking, but also loves fighting and exploring. She can be rascally and mischievous, as her nickname Rosie the Rascal implies. She also, obviously, loves Sonic, but we'll get to that later. Amy is one of the most compassionate characters in the series, sometimes even more than Sonic himself. She often helps people that are weaker than her, even when it doesn't directly concern her. In Sonic Adventure 1, Amy's story revolves around helping Birdie, a flickie that's being chased by Zero. Amy doesn't have to help Birdie, and she'd probably be safer if she didn't, but she decides to help her anyway.
I'll do my best to keep us both from harm. I'll stand by you all the way.
This contrasts with Sonic, who isn't particularly concerned with the flickie, but would rather focus on the big picture of defeating Eggman and saving Station Square. Amy later helps Gamma, one of Eggman's robots, discover his own humanity and becomes a catalyst to his moral journey. Becoming friends with Gamma allows Amy to escape her cell. She later defeats Zero and reunites Birdie with her siblings. And although she thanks him for his work, Sonic doesn't actually save her in this game, or at least not any more than anyone else in his last fight with Chaos. Amy got herself out of the cell, Amy stopped Sonic's fight with Gamma, and Amy defeated Zero. The only thing Sonic actually did for Amy was bring Tails to the egg carrier so he could fly her off. Her entire story is about learning to fight for herself. She's far from a damsel in distress in this game. In Sonic Adventure 2, Amy has the role of helping Shadow realize his true purpose. While everyone else is taking part in the physical battle, Amy is left alone with Shadow on the Ark. Amy pleads with Shadow to help the others in their efforts and explains to him why the Earth is worth saving.
They always have a reason to be happy. That's why you should help them out. Saving them is a good thing. Shadow, I beg you, please do it for them. Give them a chance.
The final battle could not have been won without Shadow, and Shadow never would have helped if Amy didn't take the time to actually empathize with him. A trait that goes hand in hand with Amy's compassion is her ability to make friends. Prior to Cream the Rabbit, Amy was the one making friends with deadly robots. Even after an awkward first meeting with Silver, she quickly bonds with him and has such an impact on him that he questions his own motivations. Also, just look how much Big loves her. But Amy's not a total softie, she's staunchly protective of those she bonds with. Amy is an active heroine. Things don't just happen to Amy, Amy makes things happen. In the main series, Amy is the only character that has gone from being a practically normal girl to becoming a hero. In Sonic CD, Amy can use tarot cards, but she doesn't have any special physical abilities like flight, speed, or super strength. She's also not born with a special purpose or royalty, she's just normal. However, Amy decides that she wants to be faster and stronger, not only so she can take care of herself or win Sonic's affection, but also because she wants to be like Sonic.
My dream. Someday, I want to be like Sonic.
And yes, Amy does have a massive hammer that she can materialize out of nowhere, but she didn't have it in Sonic CD, and we don't have any backstory on it, so it can be assumed that she had to acquire it somehow. Through her adventures with Sonic, Amy has improved in speed, agility, and strength. In Sonic Battle, she even wears weights when boxercising to make herself stronger. Amy is a character that is always trying to improve herself and be better. She also loves to take charge. Amy may physically follow Sonic, but she's always had a mind of her own. That's also why she gets Cream and Big together to look for their lost friends. Some people say that Amy's just dragging them around to help her look for Sonic, but if that was the case, she would have actually ditched them once she did find him. Instead, she stays with them and encourages them throughout their journey and does not leave them until they're reunited with their friends.
This place is creepy. Come on, you guys. Don't you want to find Chocola and Froggy? We can do this.
Amy has so much initiative to take control that it actually becomes a flaw at times. In Sonic X Season 3, Amy tends to overstep Tails as captain of the Blue Typhoon, announcing orders when it's not her job to do so. This levels out over the season as Tails gains more confidence as a leader among his friends. Sonic Boom Amy also has this flaw, as she can often take control when no one even needs her to.
Let the yard sale begin.
Nope, not to take charge at all.
After her journey in Sonic Adventure 1, Amy has unwavering confidence in herself. She's not passive or docile in the face of danger, but instead has attitude and a belief that she can overcome her struggles. She doesn't need validation from others, and even when there was a stage in the series where other characters were making fun of her, she was never uncertain of herself. She doesn't doubt her abilities and has a very high self-worth, although some people consider her obnoxious in this regard. She's also not afraid to call out Sonic when she thinks he's wrong. Amy is one of the most optimistic characters in the franchise. Nothing gets this girl down. The only time she's ever seemed to lose hope is when Sonic is presumed dead. And even in Sonic Forces, where everyone else believes Sonic is gone, Amy holds out hope that Sonic is still out there. By far, Amy's most well-known trait, she loves the franchise's titular character and has been known to follow him on his adventures. But why does Amy feel so strongly about him? Sonic is Amy's inspiration. Just like Tails, Amy looks up to Sonic and wants to be an adventuring hero too. She also has an unwavering faith in him. It might seem like Amy only follows Sonic around because she wants to tie him down and force him into marriage, but that's not the case when you look through all of her appearances. She follows Sonic because she knows that wherever he is, there's adventure to be had. That's why she reminisces the way she does in Sonic Adventure,
Chasing bad guys and blowing them away.
and why she tries so hard to help out in Sonic Adventure 2.
Don't leave without me. I want to help Sonic too.
Just like the majority of the Sonic cast, Amy's still growing up. Her asking Sonic to marry her is literally just a childlike way of saying she has feelings for him without directly using the words, "I love you." Many of the negative reviews of Sonic X's Amy described her to be a stalker, but she's literally a part of the friend group. She doesn't follow Sonic around. They're always together because they're friends and everyone lives in the Thorndyke Mansion. It's been stated many times that Amy is Sonic's friend. One of his best friends, as a matter of fact. Reducing Amy's character to a fangirl implies that she's just some random girl that shows up and is infatuated with Sonic, erasing her role as one of Sonic's most trusted friends. All of this isn't to say that Amy hasn't had her share of issues. This is a decades-old character, so there are bound to be inconsistencies. Amy has bad portrayals, just like every other character in the series. Knuckles is naive and trusting, believing that there's good in everyone, but can be portrayed as just being downright unintelligent. Shadow is tough, reserved, and carries emotional baggage, but can be portrayed as just an edgy teen who only lives to one-up Sonic. It's fair some fans have a negative opinion of Amy's character if they've only been exposed to certain incarnations of her. However, many of the traits I've already mentioned were established well before her Flanderization stage began, so why are Amy's more shallow interpretations treated as the core of her character while her fleshed-out appearances are ignored? Amy has even been called abusive because of certain portrayals. One scene commonly used to criticize her is the scene from the end of Sonic Riders. At face value, it looks like Amy is trying to attack Sonic for little to no reason, but if you've played the whole game, you're probably aware there's more to it than that. Sonic put Amy in physical danger by sending an attack towards Eggman while he held her hostage. Why is it wrong for Amy to get mad at Sonic for being negligent towards her, but perfectly fine for Sonic to disregard her safety entirely? The entire reason Amy is even in this situation is because in a speed competition for which Sonic and Jet spend the entire time arguing about who's the fastest, for whatever reason, Amy is the character that responds the fastest to Eggman stealing the key to the Babylon treasure. I'm personally not a fan of Sonic's portrayal in this game either. Another scene is in Sonic X Episode 20. In this episode, Sonic is forced to take a cruise vacation with Chris and the others. He can't manage to relax at all, and Chris's family won't let him go home, so he decides to manipulate both Amy and Tails. He makes Tails feel as though the X-Tornado misses him, and then tells Amy that she's so beautiful when she swings her hammer that he just can't stand the fact he won't see her swing it around on the ship. This is specifically so Chris will think Amy's unhinged and take them home. Of course, Amy finds out Sonic's plan and he runs away. The whole gag of this scene is that Amy is doing exactly what Sonic asked her to do, swing her hammer around on the ship. Amy might exasperate Sonic in certain instances, but she never actually makes him do anything he doesn't want to do. Even in Sonic Heroes, where she supposedly attacks him to force him into marriage, you can tell by the dialogue that no one in this situation is taking the fight seriously. Sonic just sees it as Amy purposely trying to annoy him. I don't particularly like how they wrote Amy's character in this scene either, but this scene is blown much farther out of proportion from the intention. Sonic Heroes is a game where all the teams need a reason to fight each other, even when they ordinarily wouldn't. Somehow, the writers couldn't come up with any other reason for Team Rose and Team Sonic to fight other than this. They also have Team Chaotix and Team Dark fight for no reason at all, and Sonic fights Shadow even though this is his first time seeing him since he sacrificed himself in Sonic Adventure 2. When there's a scenario where Amy is actually supposed to fight Sonic, she doesn't want to. However, even if you take all of this and still choose to see Amy as abusive in these scenes, that's not what the core of her character is supposed to be. Concluding that Amy is abusive because of her bad portrayals is the same as saying that Tails is a coward,
Sonic, help me!
Knuckles is an idiot,
What's that word that means not smart?
Obtuse?
Yeah, see? That's what I'm talking about.
and Sonic is a jerk.
I think it's time to leave now. Tails?
Yeah!
I've always felt that part of the reason Amy had such a poor reception in the past was also because of how Sonic and the other characters treated her in the stories. While she had a good story about independence in Sonic Adventure, in Sonic Adventure 2 she is basically left behind from everyone else for most of the game, which is what leads to her being captured.
Wait for me, Sonic! Hey, wait! Wait for me, Tails! You guys always leave me behind!
Well, well, young lady. Is there something I can help you with?
Amy's not trying to flirt with Sonic every second, or hug him the whole time. She teases him when he's locked in the cell, and that's it. She's following them because she wants to help too. She wants to show them that she adds value to the team, but no one else seems to care. They don't tell her she shouldn't join them, but then they take her into space and just leave her while they go on missions. Compare this with Sonic Boom, which has an incarnation of Amy that a lot of people find superior. What are Amy's characteristics in this show? She's physically strong, in touch with her emotions, loves to cook and partake in traditionally feminine activities, but also loves to join the fight. By far the biggest difference is that she doesn't tell Sonic she loves him. Her crush is joked about several times, from her trying to set up a date with Sonic while he works as a delivery man, to her having a life-size Sonic doll and keeping a photo of him in her purse.
Picture of a platonic friend that you have no romantic interest in.
Even though audiences would see these traits as obsessive in mainline Amy, these traits become acceptable because Sonic treats Amy well, always includes her, and very obviously values her as a friend. That's not to say that Amy isn't valued by main Sonic, but Boom Sonic is more vocal about how he feels than main Sonic, and that goes for how he feels about most of his friends, not just Amy. Mainline Amy has so many great characteristics that get swept under the rug because fans don't look past the fact that she chases Sonic. She has suffered from flanderization over the years, but that's bound to happen with a character that's been around for 28 years in a franchise with several writers and continuities. On top of all that, there's also a disconnect between SEGA of Japan and SEGA of America when it comes to her character. In the early 2000s, Amy's character was portrayed as even more aggressive and Sonic-centered in the West than it was in the East. There were seemingly small changes in dialogue, but they add up over time. For example, in Sonic X, there's a small background plot about Amy having a dream to open her own restaurant. I almost never hear anyone talk about this, probably because it's completely cut out of the American version of the show. Her relationship with Ella, where they bond over cooking, is also downplayed. These small moments across the series are important because they illustrate that Amy's life doesn't actually revolve around Sonic. In Sonic X, she even has a whole dream and life goal that has nothing to do with him. There have been many instances of the lack of cohesion between SEGA of America and SEGA of Japan, and Amy's character is just one of them. Amy's also got several special skills that get brought up in some games and forgotten in others. She's particularly familiar with fortune-telling and magic skills. Her tarot cards are the entire reason for meeting Sonic in the first place, but it's barely a footnote in most iterations of her character. Some of the only times it's ever been utilized since was in her attacks in Sonic Chronicles and a comic strip from Sonic Channel. It's also been noted in multiple games that she has a Sonic sense, which is the explanation for how she finds Sonic wherever he is. If you think about it, even the 2 times Amy was wrong about which male hedgehog she was hugging, Sonic was always very close by. Another very unique thing about Amy is that she brings the widest variation of emotions out of Sonic. In 28 years, what other character in the series has gotten Sonic to react like this?
Amy! Amy! Wait! Amy? Amy?
There's been a lot of noise about Sonic not showing enough emotions recently, so why devalue the character that brings the widest variation out of him? Their interactions bring an additional layer of depth to Sonic's character. So what did I, a once little girl who was playing Sonic, learn from Amy's role in the series? I learned that if you have a goal, it's up to you to make it happen. When Amy met Sonic, she didn't sit around after he left and say, "I hope he comes back, I'll wait here for him." She decided that she'd find him and told him, "I'm coming too." Even when she gets left behind, she never gives up and never stops trying. Amy doesn't wait to be invited to the club, she joins it herself, or she makes her own club. Amy has had massive growth since her first appearance, but outside of Sonic Adventure 1, she's never had a significant role that focused on her character, and it's a shame they don't include her as an active force in the main story more. A big part of this is because of her negative reception early on. SEGA is a company that actually listens to feedback, to a fault. That's why they brought Shadow back from the dead after seeing his popularity with fans, dropped away from more serious storylines after the poor reception of Sonic 06, and limited the number of playable characters after the infamous "Sonic has too many friends" complaint. Fans and reviewers complained that Amy's story was uninteresting and her gameplay was slow, so they didn't make her playable in the next game. When they brought her back as playable in Sonic Heroes, she still wasn't well received. Let's compare her with some of the more well-received cast members. Shadow the Hedgehog was introduced in Sonic Adventure 2, a game where he was the second lead character with a plot that revolves around his background on purpose. From start to finish, Shadow has a massive amount of character growth throughout the game, changing from a villain to a hero.
Maria, this is what you wanted, right? This is my promise I made to you.
Blaze the Cat's introductory game was Sonic Rush, a game in which she's also the second lead with her character development at the forefront of the story. She changes from being extremely reserved and self-reliant to learning how to open her heart and accept help from friends. As a matter of fact, if we look at the characters that recur the most in the series, almost all of them debuted in a game where they were the second lead. Of the core cast, Amy's never been the second lead, and it's been 28 years. Amy has kind of a weird juxtaposition in the series. She's a classic character who debuted before Knuckles, and if you count the manga, even before Tails, and yet her roles are almost always minor. It's like she's old enough to appear, but not relevant enough to be focused on. She's the only girl from the classic era, and yet when the opportunity arises for her classic version to be playable again, she's never included. It's always baffled me how some people will say that Amy should be excluded because she's an uninteresting character. How can a character even have the opportunity to become interesting if they're not included in the narrative? If you haven't picked up on it already, I love Amy. She was my favorite character growing up, and I just always wanted more for her. There have been a lot of changes to the series in recent years. With a lot of the steps they've taken with their characters, I can't see the flanderized version of Amy from Battle and Free Riders coming back anytime soon. The Sonic cast has grown much larger than it was in the 90s, and there are way more female characters in the series, each with their own charms and strengths. But to this day, I hold out hope they'll actually give Amy a major role again, something that acknowledges her growth from Sonic CD and Sonic Adventure to what SEGA wants her portrayed as now. Amy was a prominent character in Sonic Boom, but even though Boom Amy has many similar characteristics, she's still a different character in another universe. She wasn't the Amy that had to be saved from Metal Sonic or encouraged Sonic in Sonic Unleashed. Her backstory is totally different, as is everyone else's. I want them to actually show the growth from when Amy was getting left behind in Sonic Adventure 2 to her being a leader in the Resistance and Sonic Forces in IDW, instead of it being something you have to play multiple games to notice. There's so much they can do with her already established traits. They don't have to change her to make her more likable, they just have to play off what she already has. When Sonic Boom came out, fans said, "I like this Amy over regular Amy." When her Sonic Mania Adventures episode came out, fans said, "I like this Amy." When IDW Sonic came out, fans said, "I like this Amy." There's nothing wrong with just saying you like Amy, especially when she's exhibiting traits she's always had. Thank you guys so much for watching, I really appreciate it. I'd love to hear your take on Amy in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and maybe subscribe. I want to do more videos in the future, so let me know what you guys would like to see.